Good morning, lovely tenors. Right, buddies, you lucky ducks. You get to have me this week for your online lessons, and the topic that we're going to be doing is sequences. Yeah, which is a topic that I think is really, really cool, but I know for sure you guys have done this a lot before, all the way, well, I think you've even started them in primary school, to be honest, but we really do them in depth in year 8. So pretty much our goal for today is to make sure that you are absolutely boss at all things to do with sequences. So by the time this is done, I want you to think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so bored of sequences. Thank goodness that Mr. Wade actually gave me an extension activity, as well as just the boring you have to practice it to get good at sequence lesson. Cool! Yeah, but we do really good sequences this year, though, so the year 10 ones are actually really cool, and they're really cool, to be honest. I'm excited to teach them to you. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to do regular, what are called arithmetic sequences. We're going to do ones that you just count on in something, okay? Ones that are linked to a times table, okay? So here we go. Just to recap, my buddies, the things I'm going to ask you to do are to come up with what's called a term-to-term rule, and those are dead easy, my buddies. Here, I'll reveal what these are. So 3, 6, 9, 12 is the first sequence, right? And so on. That's what those 3 dots mean. It just goes on forever. Now, the term-to-term rule is dead easy. It's like, how do I get from one number to the next? Well, what is it for the first one? 3, 6, 9, 12. What's the rule to get to the next one? Well, if you said add 3, that's it. That is the end of the story. See, I told you that they weren't very hard. Yeah, so to start with, buddies, the first thing, the term-to-term rule for this one is simply this. It's simply add 3. So that wasn't so bad, was it? It's a term-to-term rule is literally how do you get from one term to the next? Well, you add 3. Okay. Now, the more important one, though, my buddies, is called the nth term, okay? Now, with the nth term, oftentimes people write okay, I'll tell you what an nth term is before I go on a big tangent about it. An nth term tells you how to get your position, so how do you get from your position in the sequence to what its value is. So in other words, this is the first number, that's the second, that's the third, that's the fourth number in the sequence, and so on. Instead of saying, well, the term-to-term rule, which was just add 3, that's not going to be the nth term, because if you look at it, say you started at 1 and you added 3, well, you'd get 4, right? If you started at 2 and you added 3, you'd get 5. So that's not the rule. So whilst that is the rule for a term-to-term rule, it's not the rule for an nth term or position-to-term rule. So what is the rule? How could you turn a 1 into a 3? And then what would be that same rule that turns a 2 into a 6? And it has to be the same rule again that also turns a 3 into a 9. Well, what rule is it, my buddies, for the nth term? Well, what would be the rule? How do you turn a 2 into a 6, but also a 3 into a 9? Well, if you said you times them by 3, you're absolutely right, my lovely. So all that year 8 knowledge is rushing back to you right now. So here's what you're going to write, my buddies. Now, I have seen it written lots of ways before. I'm going to call it UN. I've seen it for N, well, or TN they sometimes call it, so it can be UN, people sometimes call it TN, sometimes people just call it nth for the nth term. I'm going to go with UN because I remember it from A level, and I'm going to get you guys to use the A level notation because we're hardcore like that, my super tenors. Okay, so here we go. You told me that the rule was you just times by 3, don't you? Here's what the rule is, 3n. And that's it, done. Because whatever n is, so n is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you just times it by 3 to get the next one, so no problem at all. And that means, if we want to figure out what the 50th term is, well now we're big time onto a winner, because look, U50 then, because I swapped n out for 50, is going to be this, 3 lots of 50, because I swapped this n out for 50 also, which means the 50th term is actually 150, which is way better than counting on by 3s, like 50 times. So it's wicked that we've got this way better way of doing it. Okay, I'm going to simplify this a little bit for you too, okay, my buddies? So first things first, anyone spot anything, a link between the term-to-term rule and the nth term? I'm just going to do a bit of a stretch and a yawn here. Oh, gosh, can anybody see what the trick is, my buddies? That's right, if you know what the nth term, if you can figure out the term-to-term rule, you're going to know what the rule is for the position to term rule, because if it was add 3, it means it's linked to the 3 times tables. 3 times tables is written as 3n. So I know this is all recap, but I hope it's good recap for you anyway, my buddies. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this one here. Let's do the next one together. It's a bit harder, but it's not too bad. Okay, so like this, the first, second, third, fourth term as normal. Okay, we'll do this at normal speed, then I'm going to go at breakneck speed after that. So to start with, what's the term to term rule? To get 1 into 7, what do you do? It has to be the same thing that you do to 7 to turn it into 13. Well, what do you do to turn a 1 into a 7? Well, that's right, you add 6, my buddies. Oh gosh, nobody saw that. That's 19, isn't it then? Woo! Okay, yeah, it's add 6 is the rule, isn't it, my buddies? So add 6 is the rule. Okay, you ready? Check this out. For step 2, the nth term, it's going to be this. It's going to be u to the n. And remember how just a second ago I said that the 3, remember how the 3 went over there? Well, in this case, it's a 6, so we're going to start with 6n. If it's counting on in 6 each time, it means it's linked to the 6 times tables. And if it's linked to the 6 times tables, there better be a 6n in it, because that's how you make the 6 times tables. Because like if n was 1, it'd be 6, if n was 2, it'd be 12. You get me, my buddies? So that's why it's got to have a 6n in. Now, here's the problem though. If you do the first term, if you went 6 times 1, it doesn't actually equal 1, that would equal 6. So how is it again that we adjust the rule then? So we get 6 if we put 1 into our rule, so our rule needs adjusting. 1 times 6 is 6. So what do we have to do to get it back down to 1? Well, if you said take 5, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what we would do, because we need to adjust our rule a little bit. 2 times 6 is 12, right? Which isn't this. But if you take 5 off, it does equal 7. 3 times 6 is 18, and if you take off 5, you get to 13. So you've adjusted our rule, my buddies, and that's brilliant. Does that make sense, buddies? Okay, good. And then the 50th one then is just this. It's going to be 6 lots of 50, take 5. 6 times 5 is 35, so it's 350, take 5 is 345, like a boss. Okay, so here's what I'm going to get you to do. I'm going to get you to try some on your own, okay? Oops. I'm going to get you to try some of these on your own, and here's what I'm going to suggest to you, that follow the exact same steps as me initially, okay? Soon you'll be able to do nth terms without even thinking too much about them, but do the steps to start with. Another pro tip, if the numbers are getting smaller, if it's like take 6 or something, it means this part will be negative. So let's see if you guys can work it out. You ready? Go! Okay, buddies, and so you're back. Let's check it out then. How about this one? How about the term-to-term rule here? To turn a 7 into a -3, well, I hope that you wrote down that you add 4, because that's exactly right. 1 to 4, yeah, it's add 4, certainly. Which means our nth term, my buddies. Our nth term is going to be like this. It's going to be un equals, and it's going to be 4n, because that's from there. It's linked to the 4 times tables. Now, 4 times 1 is 4 for the first term. 4 times 1 is 4, not -7. So what do you have to take away from 4 to get to -7? Well, if you said, like, what would that be? Would it be -11? Yeah, it would be. -11. That's what you'd have to take away. Yeah, so there you go. How about this one here? Yeah, and then you could do the 50th term as well. Let's do it. Stop cutting corners, Mr. Wade. Okay, so if you were to do the 50th one, it's going to be 4 times 50, take 11, so that's 200, take away 11, which is 189, like a beast. Okay, this one here was the nth term. Well, this time, my buddies, it's taken away, isn't it? It's actually take 5, isn't it, I think? Yeah, it is. It's take 5. Which means our rule, like what we said before, is going to be this. Because it's take away, it's going to have a minus in. Just like take away is minus, isn't it? So it's going to start with -5n to get it to be linked to the 5 times tables. Now, the hard part, buddies, is this. -5 times 1 is going to be -5. What do you have to add? What do you have to add to -5 to make 32? Well, if you said 37, you're absolutely onto a winner. If you said 37, you're absolutely onto a winner. If you said 37, you're onto a winner. If you said -11, you're onto a winner. Right, there might be a shortcut happening here. Okay, and what about the next one? This one here, what's going on each time here? Well, the numbers are getting bigger, but actually they're getting more negative. So this rule is take 3. So here we go. Number 2. What are we going to get? U to the n equals minus 3n. And minus 3 would bring you to, it'd be minus 3. So what would you have to subtract from minus 3? Oh, it's a bit of a palaver, isn't it? So if you take away 3 to get there, you'd add 3, it'd be like minus 7. Oh yeah, minus 7. Okay, which means the 50th one is going to be this, U50, it's going to be minus 3 times 50, minus 7, so it's minus 150, minus 7 more is 157, oh, I forgot to do it on this one as well, minus 5 times, oh god, here comes the mental maths, minus 5 times 50 plus 37 for the third bit here, and what are we going to get then? So that's minus 250 plus 37. Minus 250 plus 37. Is it minus 213? Is that right? 7 to get it up to 2, and then 3 to make it 5. Yep, brilliant. And so that's what you got. Happy days, guys. Okay, I wonder if anybody spots a shortcut. I wonder if anybody spots a shortcut, because I bet you'd agree with me that coming up with this thing at the end is the hardest part, like the plus 37 and the minus 7 and all of that stuff is the hardest part. Well, guess what, buddies? If you just go one space to the left of where the sequence begins, that also is a shortcut way of getting the number. They call that actually the 0th term, if you want to be fancy and snazzy about it. But essentially, if you go one spot before the number starts, that gives you what this number is. Then you can do less thinking. It's quicker. Cool beans, buddies? Right. Well, that's actually it for the teaching today. So I'm going to really quick tell you what I'm going to get you to do is the activities, and it's 2 things, okay? Now, the first one, I'm sorry, is just going to be 24 questions of coming up with the nth term, okay? So I'm going to really test your listening skills right now, so I'll be able to tell which of you proper have watched the video and which of you haven't. I'm about to really simplify this for you. So see, it's question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's just an Excel spreadsheet with nth terms on it. Well, here's what you're going to do, buddies. I'm going to spoiler alert you, so I'm glad you watched the video. I don't actually care if you don't fill in any of this, and I also don't care if you tell me what the 50th term is or anything. Okay? So the only thing I want you to figure out is this box here for all 24 of the questions, okay? So you can ignore everything else. So for instance, in this one, it's adding 1 each time, right? So it's going to be u to the n equals, and it's going to be 1n, which I'm just going to call n. And then go 1 space back, it'd be 1, and then I'm going to put that 1 in over here, so plus 1. Okay? See what I mean, buddies? It's dead quick. It should be pretty quick anyway. I'll do one more just to make sure, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's going up in 3s, right? So it starts with 3, and just go 1 back, it's minus 1. If you go 3 back, minus 1. See? It's a quick old activity, this. So while there's a ton of them, it is a quick old activity, so you should get through it in no time. I reckon that'll take you between 5 and 10 minutes max to do all 24 of those. Okay, and that means you get to try the really fun activity, which I like. I've got the whole sheet attached for you as well, so you can look at it at your own leisure, but I think this is really, it actually gives a really cool answer. And not only gives a cool answer, it's actually kind of funny that they called it sheep talk. I think it's funny. So anyway, it says sheeps talk only in 2 letters, B and A, because sheep say ba. Funny. Anyway, the first word only contains the single letter A. So the first sheep word is A. So this sheep says ah. Okay? Now, to get to the next word in the sequence, what they do is they change each A in the previous word to a B, and each B in the previous word to an AB. Okay? So it's like there's the 2 rules going that you have to remember. So the second sheep word, because it says the A will get turned into a B, the second sheep word is just buh. So he's like, buh. So there you go. So yeah, so bah, kinda. Okay, do you see what I mean? But then what happens after that is the third sheep word, if it's only a B, it gets switched to an AB. So the next sheep word that he'll say is like, ab. Cool. Then what will this one say, my buddies? What will this sheep be saying as his second word? Well, it switches all the A's into a B, so buh, and then it switches all the B's into an AB. So he's like, bab. Okay, this activity is actually hilarious, and I think you'll enjoy it. Do a whole bunch of sheep words till it gets really long, okay? So make it so it's really long, just keep that sequence going. And there's something awesome that happens, okay? Because the next thing that it asks you to do is it says count the numbers of A in each word in the sequence. So, like, here you go. How many A's is there in the first? Well, in the first word, there was one A, and in this one, there was no A's. And then on this one there was 1A and then 1A again. See what I mean? And then it also says count the number of B's. Well, in the first one there was 0, and in the second one there was 1, and the third one there was 1, and the next one there was 2. Okay? And then I think it even says how many total letters are there. Well, I'm going to tell you something cool. These numbers make a pretty sweet pattern, and the words make really funny words. So you're on to like a winner with this activity. So I hope that you guys enjoy that. That's your extension because I think that you potentially, I hope that the nth term is easy, and please ask for help if you're stuck on it. But I think that you'll be maybe a bit bored by the time you finish your 24 questions on it. So do them as quick as you can and then try this extension work. Cool beans, buddies. Okay, and at the end of the lesson, if you're in my class, you're going to take a picture and you're going to upload it onto Show My Homework like normal. And if you're not in my class, you're going to do however your teacher usually gets you to submit work, okay? So that's it from me, my buddies. So see you later. Bye, Super 10s. Bye, buddies!